Hello everyone, I will discuss the topic timer counter operations in 8051 microcontroller. The topics I will cover are need of timers and counters in the embedded system applications, then special function registers used for the operation of timers and counters, different operating modes of timers, and at the last we will see assembly language program to generate a time delay for a particular application. So first we will start the what is the need of timer counters in embedded systems. In the context of embedded systems, there are numerous applications where we need to generate the precise time delay to control an operation. For example, if I want to sound a buzzer for a specified or a predefined time period, then we can use the timers for this purpose. And also in some situations we need to count the number of events happening in a process, and that we can done with the help of the counters. So for this purpose, the 8051 microcontroller has got two 16-bit timers that is named as timer 0 and timer 1. So we will see how we will use these timers to generate the time delays, and also we can use these timers for the counting of events. One important point to note here is the same circuitry can be used as the timing control, and the same circuitry can be used for counting the events. We will see later how we can use it for the timing applications and how we can use it for the counting applications. So to control the operation of these two registers, timers, that is timer 0 and timer 1, there are four 8-bit special function registers. These are identified by the names TL0, TH0, TL1 and TH1. All these registers are of 8-bit size, and here the TL0 stands for the lower order byte of the timer 0, then TH0 stands for the higher order byte for timer 0. Similarly, TL1 stands for the lower order byte for timer 1, and TH1 stands for the higher order byte for timer 1. Although we can see that all these registers are of 8-bit size, but we can combine these two registers together to make a 16-bit register, and we can say that both these timers, timer 0 and timer 1, are of 16-bit size. Both these timers can be used as the 16-bit timers. And what it means, what is the meaning of 16-bit timer? It means that we can load a maximum count value. We can load a maximum count value that is equals to 2 to the power number of bits, that is 16 minus 1, and it is coming as 65535. So with the help of the 16-bit timer, we can load a maximum count value of 65,535 to generate the time delays or to count the events. So we have seen that we can load a maximum value in the timer 0 and timer 1, that is 65535, and to initialize these registers with some value, we will use the instructions like MOV TL0, #0FC. I am taking this random value, that is FC, in hexadecimal. Similarly, we can load the higher order register like MOV TH0, like I am again taking some value, that is FF, in hexadecimal. So in this case we can see that we have loaded both these registers for timer 0, the lower order register as well as higher order register, and the combined 16-bit word that I have loaded is FFFC in hexadecimal. Similarly, we can load the timer 1 registers according to our requirements. Then next we will see the operation of these timers, how we can control the operation of these timers and counters. So for controlling the operation of these timers, we have two special function registers. The first one is called as the TCON register. The TCON stands for the timer control register, and we can see in this picture, this is a 8-bit register. The size of this register is of 8-bit. And one important thing is this register is a bit addressable. What the meaning of bit addressable? Bit addressable means we can access the individual bits of this register. If we want to set or reset the individual bits of this 8-bit register, we can do. This is allowed in the 8051 microcontroller. Now we will see what is the meaning of the different bits of this register. First we will see what are the bits. It is at the D0 position we have IT0, then IE0, IT1, IE1, TR0, TF0, TR1 and TF1 at the D7 position. So this we can see the operation of this register is divided into two parts. these lower 4 bits are used for interrupt control. The lower 4 bits, that is IT0, IE0, IT1 and IE1, are used for the interrupt control, and in this context, in the present context, we are not going to discuss these 4 bits because these are reserved for the interrupt control, but we will focus the operation of the upper 4 bits that are used for timer control. So we can use these bits with the help of by their names like TR0, TF0, TR1, TF1, or we can also identify or call them with the help of their locations, like we can write the TCON.4. Here the TCON.4 means the 4th bit of this register, that is in this case is TR0. Similarly, we can use the location of TF0 as TCON.5, we can use the location of TR1 as TCON.6 and TCON.7. So this can be used like this. Now we will see what is the meaning of this TR and TF bits. Again, in these 4 bits, the following 2 bits are used for timer 0 and the remaining 2 bits are used for timer 1. So we will see what is the function of these bits. If I see the TR0 or TR1, the TR bit has the same function for the timer 0 or the timer 1. So it is the same function. The TR stands for the timer run control bit. As the name itself indicates, the timer run control bit is used to start or stop the function of the timer or counter. So what it means, we can start the timer or counter at any point with the help of this bit, and also if we want to stop the timing and counting operation, we can also do with the help of this TR0 or TR1 bit. And we will use the instructions like if the value of this bit is equals to 0, then we say the timer is disabled or in stop position. If this bit is 0, the timer is disabled or it is in the stop position, and if the value of this particular bit is 1, then timer is enabled or it is in the start position. And we can start or stop the timer function with the help of the usual instructions, like if I write SETB TR0 or TR1, whether we are using the timer 0 or timer 1. So this will SETB TR0 will start the timer because it makes the TR bit value equals to 1. Similarly, if we want to stop the timing function, we will write the instruction CLR TR0 or TR1. Again, depending whether we are using the timer 0 or timer 1, we can stop the timer with the help of instruction CLR TR0 or TR1. So this instruction is used to start, and it is used to stop the function of timer or counter. Then the next special function register that is used for the functioning of the timer counter is the T mod register. This stands for timer mode selection register. Again, this is a 8-bit register. Similar to the TCON, it is also a 8-bit register, but the difference is the TCON register was the bit addressable. The individual bits can be accessed with the help of instruction, but in case of T mod, this is not a bit addressable register. The complete 8 bits we have to load inside this timer to initialize this function. So if we see the different bits of this timer, again this is a 8-bit register. So this is again divided into 2 parts. The lower 4 bits are dedicated for the function of timer 0 and the upper 4 bits are dedicated for the functioning of timer 1. So if we understand the function of the lower 4 bits, this is the same function is for upper 4 bits for the timer 1. So we will understand the meaning of different bits one by one. So first we take the lower 2 bits, that is the M0 and M1. These 2 bits decide the different operating modes of the timer. We can have the 4 possible combinations of these 2 bits, like we can have 00, we can have 01, then we can have the 10, and we can also have the 1 and 1. Then in the first case, the mode 0 of the timer is selected. In case of 0 1, the mode 1 of timer is selected. In case of 1 0, the mode 2 is selected, and in case of 1 1, the mode 3 is selected. So in the mode 0, what is the difference in the different modes of this timer, we will see. In case of mode 0, we call it as the 13-bit timer mode. What is the meaning of 13-bit timer mode? In this case, the 8 bits of the lower order registers are used. Whether it is I am writing the X here, it means it can be a timer 0 or it can be a timer 1. So 8 bits of the lower order registers are used, and the 5 bits of the higher order registers are used, and this make a complete 13-bit word for the mode 0 timer. So in this case, if we see the maximum count that I can load in this register because of the 13 bits, it is 1 FFFF in hexadecimal. So we can find it with the help of simple 2 to the power 13 minus 1. It is coming as 1 FFF in the hexadecimal. Again, for the next case, if the value of the M0 is 1 and the value of M1 is 0, then mode 1 is selected, and this is called as the 16-bit timer mode. And in this case, the 8 bits of the lower order register and the 8 bits of higher order registers are used, and so we can see it is a 16-bit timer mode, and we can load a maximum value of FFFF in hexadecimal. Then in the mode 2, that when M0 is equals to 1 and M1 equals to 1, the mode 2 is selected, and this is called as the 8-bit auto reload mode. This mode 2 has the entirely different function as compared to the other modes of the timer. What is the difference? In case of these mode 0 and mode 1, what is happening here, when we load some value, initialize the timer value, it counts in up direction, and when it reaches the maximum value, it rolls over to the 0000 hexadecimal. We can see it with the help of example. In this case, we have loaded this timer to a value FFFC. So when we start the timer by applying this instruction SETV TR0, the counter starts counting in upward direction, like how it increments. The initial value is FFFC, then it increments to FFFD, then next value incremented is FFFE, and the last or the maximum value is FFFF. Then we can notice a very important functioning of the timer with the help of this. When it counts 1, it consumes a time of 1 machine cycle. Every time it counts 1, it consumes a time of 1 machine cycle. And when it reaches its maximum value, so in case of 16-bit, the maximum value we have seen it is FFFF. When it reaches the maximum value, this is the maximum. After that, the timer rolls over to the initial value, that is the 0000H. This condition is called as the rollover condition. When the timer reaches its maximum value, then it goes to the 0000H. This is called as the rollover condition, and to indicate this condition, the value of TF becomes 1. So initially we have left the meaning of TF. Here we can understand what is the meaning of TF. Whenever the timer rolls over to the 0000H, the value of this TF0 or TF flag becomes 1. Whether we are using the timer 0, in case of timer 0, the TF0 is used, and in case of timer 1, the TF1 flag is used. So when the timer rolls over, in case of mode 0 and mode 1, we have to again reload the initial count value to operate the timer for the next round. So in case of mode 0 and mode 1, the initial value, that was the FFFC, we have to again load this value to use the counter or timer for the next round. But in case of the auto reload mode, what we are doing, we need not to reload this value again and again. The counting is done basically in the lower order register, that is again a 8-bit, while the initialized count value is to be stored in the higher order register. So counting is done in the lower order register, but the count value is stored in the higher order register, and every time the timer rolls over, this count value is automatically reloaded in the lower order register, and the timer is ready for the next round. So this is a added advantage. It reduces the complexity of the program, saves the length of the program, and it is a special function also. It is used for generation of baud rate for serial communication. So if we want to generate the baud rate for the serial communication, we will use the timer in mode 2, that is the 8-bit auto reload mode. Then last one is the mode 3. When the value of M0 and M1 both are 1 then the mode 3 is selected, and this is called as the split timer mode. In this case, we can see in this picture, the timer 0 is divided into two parts, that is TL0 is acting as a separate 8-bit timer counter, while TH0 is acting as another separate 8-bit timer counter, while the T1 is working as the 16-bit timer counter in the auto reload mode. So basically we have in mode 3 the three different timers counter. The timer 0 is divided into two parts, TL0, TH0, while T1 is working as a separate timer counter, and in total we have the three timer counters in case of mode 3. Suppose. So we have till the point we have seen the function of M0 and M1 bits. These are used to control the different modes of timer counter operation. There are 4 different operating modes we can select with the help of M0 and M1 bits. The remaining 2 bits that are used for the controlling of this timer counter are the C by T bar and the gate. So we will see the function of these 2 bits with the help of a logic circuit diagram. This is a timer logic circuit diagram. It is a combination of various logic gates, oscillator frequency divided by 12 circuitry. So this is useful to understand the function of C, T bar bit and the gate. So first we will see the function of C by T bar. What the meaning of C by T bar? As we initially discussed that the same circuitry can be used as a timing operation and same circuitry can be used for the counting operation. The operation of whether it is used as a timer or counter, it is basically decided with the help of this particular bit. If we made this value equals to 0, then it is operating in the timer mode, and if we made this bit equals to 1, it is operating in the counting mode. So what is the difference in the timing and counting mode? We can see with the help of this particular figure. In case we can see we have oscillator frequency and we are dividing this frequency by 12, and there is a switch. This switch is controlled with the help of the bit C by T bar. If it is 0, then we can see this switch is connected to the source of frequency that is taken internally from the microcontroller, or we can say in the case of timer the source of pulses for the counting are taken internally from the crystal frequency, but it is not taken directly. First we divide this crystal frequency by 12 because the machine cycle takes the 12 clock periods. In case we make this C by T bar equals to 1, then this switch is changed and it is connected to the position like this, and in this case the pulses for the counting are taken not from the internal source, it is taken from some external source that is connected to the T1 or T0 input pin of the microcontroller, and at this T1 and T0 inputs we might have connected some switch or sensor. So in this case of counting applications, the source of pulses are taken externally from the T1 or T0 input. This is the function of C by T bar. We can control the operation whether we want to use it as a timer or we want to use it as a counter. The next bit is the gate. Again, this bit can have the two values. The first we can have the 0 or we can have the 1. So this particular gate bit is used to control the operation of the timer, whether we want to control the operation start and stop of this timer counter with the help of entirely software operation, or we want to control it with the help of hardware. We can do it with the help of gate bit. In the first case, if we make this value equals to 0, then it is controlled by software. And in case of 1, the controlling of timer is done with the help of external hardware. So the functioning again can be seen with the help of this figure. So this is a OR gate that is connected to the gate input and the interrupt pins of the microcontroller, that is INT1 and INT0. Then these are the TR1, TR0 bits that we have already seen in these are the bits of TCON register. We have two bits here, TR0, TR1. This is for timer 0, this is used for timer 1. So these are connected to the one input of the AND gate. So in the first case, when we want to control the start and stop of the timer with the help of software only, we made this gate equals to 0. So when we made this gate equals to 0, it is passing to the OR gate with the help of inverter. So here we get the 1. And irrespective of the second input, irrespective of the second input, we are continuously getting the 1 here. And after getting the 1 here, we can directly control the starting and stopping of this timer with the help of only TR0 or TR1 that is controlled by the software instruction. So in this case, we say that the counting or timing operation is totally controlled with the help of the software instructions. But in the second case, if I made this gate equals to 1, then the input of this OR gate becomes 0 and the output of this OR gate will not become 1 till we are getting some external input from the inputs INT1 or INT0. So whenever we get some external interrupt from these pins, then the output becomes high, and if the already TR1 or TR0 bit is high, again we get output of AND gate equals to 1 and the timer counter again starts. So in this case, we are starting or stopping the timer counter with the help of some external source. Or we can say we are controlling the starting or stopping of the timer with the help of hardware. So these are the function of all the 4 bits. The upper 4 bits of this register having the same function for timer 1. So there is no need to again discuss what is the meaning of the upper 4 bits. These are having the same function for timer 1, that was the function for timer 0. Then last we will see how we can use all these timers, timer 0 or timer 1, to generate a time delay for a particular application. So we will see with the help of a flow chart, and then we will write a assembly language program to generate a particular time delay. So this time delay may be required in various situations, like we are calling a subroutine to generate a time delay repeatedly for a application. So we want to create a subroutine to generate time delay. If you want to generate a particular time delay with the help of a subroutine, we can create a flow chart like this is our delay subroutine. The very first step for using these timers is to set the mode, set the timer mode. And this timer mode can be set, as we have seen, with the help of tmod register. We will write a particular value to the tmod register that will decide the mode of this timer. After setting the mode, we have to initialize some count value in the TL and TH registers. And this count value will basically depend on how much time delay we want to generate. The next step will be, after loading the count value, we will start the timer. After starting the timer, we will check the value of TF bit. If it is 1, it means that the counting has been reached and we will stop the timer. If it is not 1, it means the counting has not been completed and the counter is counting in upward direction. Then we will continuously monitor the value of this TF bit till it becomes 1. Whenever it becomes 1, we will stop the timer, and after stopping the timer, there is one more step needed. We have to clear the TF bit. There is one important point about this timer overflow flag bit. This is made 1. This is made equal to 1 automatically whenever the timer rolls over from the maximum value to the 0000. But if we want to reuse this timer for the next round, we have to clear the value of this flag bit manually with the help of the software program. So for the next round, we will clear the value of this TF flag, and if we want to repeat this operation again and again, we will go to the next step to again initialize the count value. So these steps will be repeated and we get a particular time delay. So we will see how we can write the assembly language program. We can directly derive the program with the help of this flowchart. So the first step is the setting the timer mode. So first we have to decide whether we want to use the timer 0 or we want to use the timer 1, and in which mode. Suppose I decide I want to use the timer 0 in mode 1. I am taking the case of I am using timer 0 in mode 1. According to this, we will decide the value of TMOD register. As we have seen the different bits of TMOD register, so for mode 1, the value of M0 and M1 bits will be 0, 1. This will select the mode 1, and we want to use this timer in the timing mode. So the value of the CT bit will be 0, and we want to control the operation with the help of software. That's why the value of gate will be 0, and we are not concerned with the upper 4 bits that are used for timer 1. So these are don't care for us, and see, so we are getting the TMOD value equals to these upper 4 bits are 0, 0, 0, 0. So we are getting the value 0, 1 H. This is the value of TMOD register. Then we will load this value in the TMOD register using the instruction MOV TMOD comma hash 01H. So this instruction will set the operation of timer 0 in mode 1. Then we will load a count value. So we have already seen how we can initialize the value of timers. MOV TL0 comma hash 0F2H. I am taking here some random value for initializing the lower order byte, that is F2 in hexadecimal. Similarly, because we are using the timer in mode 1, and we have already discussed the mode 1 is a 16-bit timer mode, so we have to load both the registers, the lower order register as well as the higher order register. So we will move another value in the higher order register. Suppose I take the value FFH. So the total, the net count value in this case is becoming as FFF2 in hexadecimal. Then after loading the count value in the timer registers, we will start the timer. We can do this with the help of instruction SETB TR0. I am writing TR0 because we have decided to use the timer 0. In case if I want to use the timer 1, then I have to write the instruction like SETB TR1. After starting the timer starts counting in upward direction, and we have to continuously monitor the value of TF bit. This we can do with the help of a conditional jump instruction, that is JNB, jump on no bit, and we have to check the TF0 flag, and if this condition is not true, we have to jump to a level. I am providing this level here. What it means, if the value of this flag bit is not equals to 1, it will continuously looping in this instruction, and whenever the value becomes 1, it will get out from this loop, and then we have to stop the timer with the help of instruction CLR TR0. This will stop the timer because the counting has been achieved, and to prepare this timer for the next round, we have to clear this flag bit because it has become 1 at this position. So we will write CLR clear the value of flag bit. Then we can return to the main program from where this delay program has been called. So this is the delay program. After at the end, this will return to the main program from where it was called, and at the last we want to find how much time delay this particular program has been provided. So to calculate this, we have to find the number of counts the counter has done. So there is a formula to find the number of counts. Number of counts can be found with the help of a formula. The maximum count in case of mode 1, it is FFFF, minus the initialized value plus 1. I am adding 1 here because during the rollover the timer takes or consumes 1 extra machine cycle. That's why we want to add the 1 here to find the number of counts. So in this particular example, the value we have loaded is the FF2. So the number of counts will become FFFF minus FFF2 plus 1. This will come as 0E in hexadecimal, or the equivalent decimal number will be 14. Now to calculate the time delay, obviously we can see from this flow chart the time delay provided by the timer will be the number of counts multiplied by 1 machine cycle, because during a 1 count the timer consumes 1 machine cycle. The total time delay will be number of counts multiplied by 1 machine cycle. So the number of counts we have found 14 multiplied by machine cycle. Machine cycle actually depends on the frequency of crystal. So if I take the crystal frequency equals to 11.0592 megahertz, then we can find easily the machine cycle. 1 machine cycle will be equal to 1 divided by crystal frequency 0592 megahertz multiplied by 12, because 1 machine cycle consumes 12 clock periods, and this is coming as 1.085 microseconds. So if we put this value 1.085 microseconds here, we will get a time delay of 15.19 microseconds. So this program is providing a time delay of 15.19 microseconds. So we can use this calculation also in a reverse manner to find how much count value we want to load in the TL0 and TH0 registers to achieve a particular time delay. So this is the programming of the timer in mode 1. Similarly, we can use the other modes of timer for different applications, but the main procedure will be same. So that's all for today's session. Thank you.